Fiona. So about Miss Fiona. So born and raised in Ukraine, a professional driver culturalist, Fiona came to USA as a Fulbright scholar. She published two books on cultural diversity and is now working on a book series about prominent American immigrant women. For her first America published book, Transformational Diversity: Why and How Intercultural Competence can help organizations to survive and thrive. Fiona has been recognized as the top 2012 champion of diversity by diversitybusiness.com, a think tank. Fiona is also a columnist for Dynamic Magazine, short exploring contributions of minority business people to America, well-being and culture, with experience as Director of Berlitz. So she's going to present about how women do it brand innovations. From medical devices to in-car navigation and next generation tablets, we don't just talk innovations, we deliver it with tangible results. We create branded products and services experience that drive behavior and business performance. The future of brands is defined through new products and services, helping to bring a brand strategy to life through a value proposition and tangible customer experience. Yes, brand innovation plays a vital role, and we have Ms. Fiona, CEO of Unforgettable Brands, to talk about how women perform in brand innovation. With no further delay, let's call upon Ms. Fiona to give a live demonstration on how women perform in brand innovations. Ms. Fiona, now the platform is all yours.
Wonderful. Thanks. First of all, I want to thank the host and those people who came to communicate with me today. It is very important that we look at the reality of brand innovation and at how women do it. Why? Because today, the reality of brand innovation is that the limited quantity of select brands dominate the whole world marketing. And I will eliminate the intersection of two topics. First, branding, and second, women in business, especially immigrant women in business. Because women are often underappreciated and overlooked as some weak creatures, which is not true. I will show you that women are just as good as anybody when given a chance or when creating a chance for themselves. What gives me the right to speak on the topic? I came, as it was already mentioned, from Ukraine as a Fulbright scholar and used to be a full professor and English department chair at Uzhgorod University in Western Ukraine, and also a visiting professor at the universities of Bern, Switzerland, Budapest, Hungary, and Vienna, Austria. When I came to America, I reinvented myself. I started doing something that I have never been doing before, adapted and culturally integrated with the culture, started my own consulting company, and I should tell you, I did it my way, and so can you. For my first book written in the United States, Transformational Diversity, I've been recognized as top 2012 diversity champion. It was the title was given me for my consulting practice and for the book together. And I started being invited to different conferences, to TV presentations, to TV interviews, and even was put on cover of some magazines. Anyway, why did I start to research and write the immigrant women? I was lucky to be the participant of the United Nations NGO Congress, and some very outstanding people shared their knowledge about immigrant women being the lowest of the low, the most persecuted people, the most underestimated group in every society. The most vulnerable group, I thought. Well, I decided to research this topic as well and started interviewing the immigrant women and writing the blogs and articles on the Huffington Post and on other media outlets. It was recognized, the response was overwhelming. What we discussed today is two groups of topics. First, the general group of topics. What is brand innovation in America as American phenomenon? What it costs you to do brand pioneering in America? What is the personal branding versus company branding or product branding? We'll talk about creativity as launchpad for branding and discuss whether branding is harder for women in America. And then I will tell you about some prominent immigrant women who made it in America, how they made it, what are the common traits in brand creators, what are the common trends in branding, how they contributed to America's culture and well-being, and also how to coach women as your colleagues for success of your company. Let's go. Here's the ABC of branding. Personal branding comes the first. Why do I think so? From personal experiences. When people are asking me, what do I personally get from personal branding? I always give an example of the person you know very well, Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was himself as famous as his name became a brand name. The product he created or co-created that became a brand name is iPhone. And his company also became a brand. It's Apple, right? Or Apple computers. So when people come to me and ask, why do you insist on starting with a personal brand? What is the ROI, return on investment of personal branding? I always answer, you came to me. This is return on investment on my personal branding. Because when you become a personal brand, when your name becomes a brand name, people come to you. Customers are coming to you. Investors are coming to you. You do not have to go out and knock at every door and ask, please buy my product. It's very good. It has this and that. No, people are coming to you. They are after you. Investors come and see you as an expert in the field. They want to give you money to develop your company and produce more of the same products, and so on and so forth. So when some people say, pay us money, we'll put you on TV, we'll advertise your name, I say, no, do not fall into this trap. It is easy to give PR companies some money, and it is easy to buy likes on Facebook or on Twitter or some sharings, or even you can buy some input, you know. But does it give you the true customers? No. The only thing that happens when you develop your personal brand, which gives you the customers, the true customers, is going out and sharing your expertise each and every day. Show what you know, show your knowledge, show, very important, your failings, not only your winnings. Show your ups and downs, show your emotions. And when people see that you trust them enough to show your mistakes and your sufferings with them, they trust you back. And trusting you, they trust your products, and then they trust your company. So much for that. And if you want to learn some more details, I do recommend you to read the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. A very good book about the ABC of branding. All right, let's go. I would like now to name some women who are brand creators in the United States. The four of them, the first four, are the immigrant women. Well, you may very well know the name of Estee Lauder. She came to the United States from Germany, and in 1946, she created her own brand of cosmetics, Estee Lauder. Then we know Liz Claiborne, who came from Belgium, and in 1976, she created her brand of business clothing for women. This brand is alive and well, although Liz Claiborne passed away. Now, Diane von Furstenberg created a DVF brand in 1972, and this brand is luxury clothing for women. Ivana Trump, the wife of our current president, Donald Trump, created her own brand, Ivana Inc., and also Ivana Haute Couture, right after her divorce with Donald Trump. And she came from the Czech Republic. Sandra Lerner is an American, and she co-created the big IT brand. IT brand is Cisco. Katerina Fake created Flickr, a picture sharing website which became very, very popular in 2001, so popular that in 2005 Yahoo bought it from her, and now it is part of Yahoo. By the way, it's a big trend in America these days that when a smaller company creates good product which become very popular, become brand names, the bigger company come after them and buy the whole company and make them yours. And just the same happened to Anita Roddick. Anita Roddick founded The Body Shop. All sorts of creams and stuff for body care. In 10 years, it was sold to L'Oreal, a great French company, as you know. Ruth Fattel created Ruth Chris's Steakhouse in 1965, and now it is one of the best steakhouses in the United States. So you see that when given a chance, or when creating rather a chance for themselves, women can do big, creating the brands in America and all over the world for that matter. Let's look at the facts now. I want to tell you first what are the trends in personal and corporate branding. That is, how to name your brand. You have a good product, you want it to be a brand, you want it to be very popular, you need to give it a name, or to your several products, to your line of products. Here are the tendencies or the trends. Let's look at these 6 women. Top left, this is Lydia Bastianic. She came from Italy. And she used her first name, Lydia, for naming her several restaurants and then several TV shows, Lydia's Kitchen, Lydia's Family Table, Lydia's Italy in America, and the very word Lydia is repeated in her books because she wrote 12, I think, recipe books. Very popular indeed. Lydia's recipes for desserts and so on and so forth. The second one in the left row is Nadia Comaneci. You may remember her. She came from Romania. She was the Olympic champion in gymnastics. Her second name, her family name, Comaneci, is used for branding. Comaneci Salto and Comaneci Dismount are the exercises she was the first to perform, and now many other gymnasts are performing it. Ivana Trump, the one on the bottom, created her brand name 1 year before her divorce. She registered her name Ivana as a brand. a wise woman. And then she had big success in Ivana Inc., a PR company, and Ivana Haute Couture, her manufacturing company. Now let's look at the right row. Loida Lewis came from the Philippines. A lawyer, she married an American, and he became a multimillionaire and then died early, suddenly. And she inherited the huge company, TLC Beatrice, from him. This company consists of 64 smaller companies in 31 countries of the world. Why TLC Beatrice? They did not change the name of the company when they originally bought it, you know, so it's like it was initially, they didn't change it. The second lady here on the right is Deborah Levine, and her brand name product is Global Diversity Report. It was the name she created to reflect the content of Global Diversity Report, which is in fact the media magazine, monthly magazine with tens of thousands of followers. And she just created it. The last lady on the bottom here on the right is Anna Palacios McBride. She came from Peru, and she wrote a number of books, a number of good books, like Living in a Double World. But then she created an online newspaper, Contacto Latino, and it was her name. Contacto Latino is like the Huffington Post, only in Spanish and oriented at the Latinos in South and North America. Then when she became a publisher, she also invented herself the name. Pukuyari Publishers is her publishing house. So it is your brand, and you may call it whatever. Just use your fantasy and also try to reflect the name of the company, the name of the product. What are the common traits of brand creators? I interviewed over 100 prominent, really prominent immigrant women, and I can tell you that the top thing that they have in common is being super energetic. You feel they are driven like there is some engine working in them all the time. They are also very charming and very charismatic, very educated and intelligent. Even if they got a university degree in their own country, when coming to America, they go to American college and get the American degree to fit in. Of course, they are very creative and entrepreneurial. This is also necessary for survival of an immigrant and of anybody who's starting the business in the United States. What's very, very important is that they are philanthropical. Philanthropy is, well, very fashionable and very widespread in America. And when they do it, you know, with a flair. For example, a lady who came from Venezuela, Hilda Ochoa Brillenburg, graduated from Harvard, started her own financial company, and became a multimillionaire. She created her own philanthropy, the Youth Company of America, where talented young musicians can be uplifted for 1 year and given a chance to play with the best musicians in the world. So whatever they do it with a flair and show something original. Now, the important thing is that national background may play a big role in creating of the brand you're after. I want to give you only 4 examples. Josie Natori. You may hear about Natori brand. Josie came from the Philippines, graduated from the college, and then became a vice president at Merrill Lynch. Then she married, had a son, And she didn't want to go back to corporate environment. She wanted to start her own company. The company she started was called Natori. That's a family name of her husband and her name as well. What they are doing is luxury lingerie. Luxury lingerie. What is this based on? It's all based on the cultural aesthetics of Asia. Asian cultural aesthetics gives this company and their products the competitive edge. They created their own niche. So workmanship, embroidery, Asian silks, Asian colors, it's all there. A very original brand indeed. The second lady here is Reagan Moya Jones from Australia. She based her business on the Australian tradition of using muslin blankets for babies, for swaddling. She had tough times promoting her brand because nobody knew much about muslin used for babies in America and even in Europe. But she had her way. The third lady here is from Germany. It's Irmgard Lafrenz, who founded a global brand, Global Press Connections. She married when she was 30. She married an American, come to America. What helped her business become a brand name? First of all, knowledge of languages, German and French, and of course, English. Also, European know-how about how public relations industry works, because she used to be in public relations when in Europe. And also her connections in Europe played a great part, and best of all, her work ethic. Very hardworking, like all Germans are, and this helps you a lot when you are starting your business. The lady here is Lydia Bastianich, who I already mentioned. She absorbed Italian cuisine from her grandma. She absorbed all the recipes that her grandmother gave to her, and this turned her into TV guru star. After shows with Julia Childs, she started her own line of shows. Very, very popular. Now, let's talk about immigrant creativity and in general about creativity and branding. Of course, creativity is a launch pad for every branding, but did you think for a moment, why is it that some people are more creative than the others? I asked myself that question and found a research in psychology that says that the majority of creative people have kind of multiple vision or double vision. They can see one and the same thing from several sides, from several perspectives. The prominent psychologist Nigel Berber wrote an article outlining that there are three kinds of people that are having this double vision. The first group is immigrant people. Of course, they have bicultural vision, bicultural perspective on many things. The second group of people are androgynous or gay or lesbian. Of course, this status gives them double vision as well. And the third group surprised me, but maybe it is not as surprising after all. This is the group of people who were very, very sick when young or suffered very much when young kids. All right. Now, I want to give you an example of a very creative person, Carrie Bannigan from England. She came to New York. She loved New York. She lived in Manhattan, worked as a secretary at some ambiguous small company, and she loved fashion. She attended all fashion shows she could. She attended this famous New York Fashion Week, and she very soon noticed that there is no equal opportunity in fashion world because the young and talented designers are not allowed to the runways to show their fairs. So she started her own company, Nolcha, and they started doing Nolcha Fashion Week with the young and talented designers. All newspapers in New York, all outlets were writing about it, praising her, and she was interviewed on CNN and in other interview outlets. It was wonderful how she does it. I attended one of the shows, and I should tell you, it's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now, what's very important is that she translated her event organizing abilities, her event organizing skills, to doing the shows in other areas. And now she is consulting and organizing the shows for the United Nations and for the government. Isn't it wonderful? I personally advise and admire her a lot for her ability to translate her organizing skills from one area to the other, to think creatively. Let me now tell you about these two ladies and how they created their global brands. The first brand is Marvel. It's a high-tech brand. And the name comes from marvelers because they wanted their products to be marvelous. Wei Dai came as a teenager from Shanghai, graduated from the University of California in Berkeley, and so did her husband. And one day they were sitting at their kitchen table, she, her husband, and his brother. And they were discussing how to start a company. They decided to call it Marvel on Weile's suggestion. And what their marvelous first product was, it was a little gadget that connects our TV screen and our computer screen. And they priced it at only $30 a piece. Well, within 2 years, they landed a very big customer. And within 5 years of creation, all the three owners of Marvel were individually named to the Forbes list of 400 richest people in America. Marvel now has 7,000 employees around the world, and is the third largest fabless semiconductor company. So much for that. Now let's look at Aden and Anais brand. The Aden and Anais, the brand name was the names of the senior daughters of the founder, who is Reagan Moya Jones. I briefly mentioned her before. What happened with Reagan Moya Jones and this brand creation was that she had a full-time job at The Economist, the big important magazine in America, in New York, and she was afraid to leave her full-time job before her own company does not stand good. So for 3 years, she was working both sides, coming home to dinner with the family. At 9 o'clock, she would put her 3 daughters to bed and then start building her own business. She was so overworked, she told me that one day in the morning, she looked at the mirror and saw the tired face with the hair that hasn't been washed for 10 days, and she fell down to the floor in tears of exhaustion and asked herself, have I bitten off more than I could chew? But everything came well for her. Within several years, her revenue was over 10 million, and now the products of Aden and Anais are bought by the richest people in the world, including Catherine Middleton, who bought some muslin blankets for her royal kids. All right, so much for that. Let me tell you about this lady. This is a very important brand called Rising Tide Capital. Rising Tide Capital brand is a non-profit. You know, nonprofits can also obviously become the brands. She came from Ethiopia at 11 with zero English. However, studied so well that she was awarded the money, the grant to study in Harvard. After getting her Harvard degree, she started her own company, Rising Tide Capital. And the idea was, just listen, to take money from the big companies who want to donate to the poor, to those less fortunate, and then give money to those who poor people who want to start their own micro businesses, mom and pop shops, single mothers, immigrants, and so on and so forth. Very soon, she and her husband, who worked also with her, they understood that it's not enough to give people the money. The most important thing is to teach people how to use the money wisely. So they started a 12-week full-time community business academy where they were teaching how to do accounting, how to do customer service, how to do advertising, how to do selling, and so on and so forth. And followed up with that come 1 year coaching for those who are in business. Well, within 1 year only, their first year, they were able to help 1,000 micro businesses to stand firmly on the ground. And Alpha Demolish was named one of the 5 most powerful women in business, changing the world with philanthropy. She was also recognized as CNN hero and got many, many titles after that. So with this example, I just wanted to point out that you can make a brand name even when you are running nonprofit company. Okay, now let's talk about some shortcuts for training and for innovation. If you want those shortcuts, the best thing I can advise you is go and look at my book, Transformational Diversity. The book presents the roadmap to success and how to train all of your employees, that not only you are pulling out the company, but they all work as a team to help you be a success. The book describes in chapter 6 the toolbox of 6 action archetypes, giving you the blueprints of how to do it. And I will answer the questions, but you are better off going and buying this book. Again, this is Transformational Diversity, why and how intercultural competencies can help organizations to survive and thrive. But it is much more than the title can say. Okay, the last thing before we start discussing, and I can take questions, is this one. Of course, I'm very grateful for your kind attention, and thank you all for coming to listen to me and discuss this topic, which I deem to be very, very important. I would, if you want to ask me some specific questions and you cannot do it within the limited time we have here during the presentation, you can do it going to my email, fiona.citkin@expertms.com. You can also go to my personal website, which is www.fionacitkin.com. And you can also find me on Facebook, Fiona Citkin author, and on Twitter @FionaCitkin. Yeah, and by the way, details of the women that I mentioned to you here are all in my Huffington Post blogger files. There are close to 50 articles, close to 50 blogs now, and you can go there, and they are all listed in succession. That's all right. So
Thank you so much for your thank you so much for your presentation. And we received two questions from the audience side. One, is brand innovative really helps your business in reaching the target audience? This questions raised by Mr. James Olan.
I don't see this question, but
In
okay.
chat box,
I see. Is brand innovation
okay.
really helping your business in reaching the target audience? Oh, yes. The non-target audience, they may read it occasionally, but and skip it. But yes, it does. The answer is yes. The short answer is yes. My brand
Okay. Next.
my brand is transformational diversity as my product, okay? And my personal brand is Fiona Citkin. So I have these two brands, and they do help me. This is recognizable, When they recognize your name, this is already a big plus. They know you, they know what to expect from you. And of course, this helps you and helps your business. Nobody would come to me and say and ask, well, can you do the tractor? Can you do the auto? Can you do this technical thing? No, they know what I am about, and they come to me specifically because they know my brand. Did I answer your question?
Yes. And we have another question from Crystal. How would you choose the best media to promote your brand?
The best media is a difficult question because many men, many minds, many men, many minds. I know a group of people, and I even belong partially to that group of people, who choose to promote their expertise on Medium. That's Medium. They publish everything on Medium. And it is good, but I found that my best bet was the Huffington Post. Why? Because Arianna Huffington, when she was an owner of the Huffington Post, herself invited me to publish on Huffington Post. I invited her to my interview. I want to interview you, Arianna, for my upcoming book, and so on and so forth. And she responded to me in 2 days. She was very busy, but responded in 2 days. And this is Arianna. I have no time now. I'm busy with worldwide expansion, but I cannot write for you. Because I invited her, I was so silly. I asked her to fill out 18-page questionnaire to be in the book. So silly I was. But she said, but you can start working for me covering the topics of immigration and women. And I started doing blogs for her. Once a month, I did the blog. So for me, the choice was obvious. I was invited to write there. And then other outlets, some respected outlets, invited me to write for them. Dynamic magazine, among others, and now I'm writing for Thrive Global. It's a new outlet of Arianna Huffington. She again invited me, and I cannot say no, so I write for them as well. So for me, answering your question, the choice to promote my brand was conditioned by who invited me. For example, I may fantasize that I want to write for the New York Times, but you know what? They don't invite me. And it's next to impossible to go through the ranks unless you are a famous actress or somebody very, very famous, or a daughter of a president. like this. Did I answer your question?
Okay, thanks for the explanation. Okay, we have another question. How can I make sure our content marketing is working on my brand?
Well, how can I make our content marketing working for your brand? Well, the bottom line is the best indicator, I would say, that whether it works or not. Of course, is if your goal is to earn some money, or if your goal is to increase your name recognition, you can see how many followers you have, real followers, not those who everybody now can buy followers, pay such and such amount of money a week or a month, and they deliver you the followers who are actually, you know, who may be real people who for money click like on your article or like your brand. But do they buy from you? Well, yes or no. Yes or no. So to make sure that content marketing working on your brand, you speak of yourself. I don't know how much time we have left. I could give an example of how to make people really listen to you, but this will take maybe 5 minutes. I don't know if we have that time, or you may call me offline. Whatever, I can give you examples.
Okay, okay, thanks for sharing your knowledge here in the platform. Fiona, please share the email ID here in the chat box so that if anybody can contact you directly for
Yes,
any
my
doubts.
email was in my last slide. It was fiona.citkin@expertms.com.